economics in policy making, tackling social behaviors, understanding consumer trends. These are some of them. And the possibilities are vast. The Council thus stressed the imperative of giving priority to continued research and development in this particular area. Now, cognitive science employs an interdisciplinary scientific study of the mind and its processes. In examining what cognition is, what it does, and how it works, cognitive science draws on the contributions from various fields, including psychology, neuroscience, linguistics, philosophy of mind, computer science, anthropology, sociology, and biology, amongst many others. As a university administrator, I have always recognized the value of inter- and multidisciplinary collaboration and its potential for leading to breakthrough ideas. The world is becoming increasingly intertwined, and the challenges faced today are more varied and complex. To understand any trend or development comprehensively, we will need to draw on the expertise and intellectual advancements of a range of fields. Through the analytical lenses and perspectives of different disciplines, we are able to draw richer, deeper, and more holistic insights. The outcome achieved is greater than the sum of its parts. NUS recognizes the value of such interdisciplinary research and has over the years been encouraging collaborative research and education across the university. Most notably, NUS has established 5 integrative research clusters, as well as the NUS Graduate School for Integrative Science and Engineering, or NGS in short. Within our educational framework, NUS has also been revamping our curriculum to inject multidisciplinary components to broaden our students' thinking. A recent example is the University Town Residential College program, which is a rigorous, distinctive, multidisciplinary academic program coupled with a residential component which augments learning with interactions beyond the classrooms. This innovative program aims to be a transformative experience that will equip our students for the challenges of tomorrow's dynamic, ever-changing, and globalized world. It is thus most apt that this inaugural CogSci Connects conference is held today at NUSU Town, University Town. Cognitive science is a very promising and fascinating field, and I hope that in time to come, some of our PhD students, particularly those from NGS, will explore research opportunities in this particular area. Before I get too carried away, I must remember I have a very important duty to accomplish. That is to introduce our Honorable Minister for Education, Mr. Heng Keat, who has so kindly and generously given his time to grace this occasion. It is my great pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Heng. Prior to joining politics, Mr. Heng has had an illustrious career in public service. Mr. Heng served in the Singapore Administrative Service. In 1997, he was appointed Principal Private Secretary to the then Senior Minister Lee Kuan Yew. In 2001, Mr. Heng helmed the Ministry of Trade and Industry as Permanent Secretary, where he was overseeing economic policy, trade negotiations, and the regulation and development of industry. In 2005, Mr. Heng was appointed as Managing Director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore. For his outstanding contribution to public service in Singapore, Mr. Heng was awarded the Gold Medal in Public Administration in 2001 and the Meritorious Medal in 2010. Mr. Heng joined politics in May 2011 following the successful election as a Member of Parliament for Tampines Group Representation Constituency. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong then appointed Mr. Heng to the cabinet as Minister for Education. A challenging role indeed, which spans preschool to university, teachers, students, and all their families. Without much ado, may I invite Mr. Heng Swee Keat, Minister for Education, to address the audience. Minister Heng, please.
Well, Professor Tan Chye and Professor Purves, Professor Brian Scholl, Tara, distinguished speakers, students, ladies and gentlemen. As you notice from Professor Tan Chye's introduction of myself, I'm a bit of a scatterbrain. Seems to be dabbling in all different areas in the last so many years. And I wonder in a room full of brain scientists whether I need my brain examined as to why I said yes to attending this. That was a Tara's question. Perhaps there was a switch in my brain that said that when certain words in your email that trigger that can la, type of response. Well, but seriously, I think the reason why I said yes, there are two reasons. One is that it is interesting that this is the first ever student-organized international conference in Asia to promote awareness of and opportunities in cognitive science. And the second reason is that I think that the cognitive science is a very important area of research, particularly for education. So let me congratulate Tara and your team for doing an excellent job of gathering so many top experts from the US and in Singapore to come and share this very complex subject. I'm also very happy to see so many students from our secondary school, JCs and universities participating in today's conference. And I understand from the organizers that 30 students have submitted posters for this conference reflecting your interest and passion in cognitive science. And you have to juggle your exams, school holidays, and all the other endeavors, and I want to commend you for your commitment. And I'm also very happy to see so many professionals and teachers and people from diverse fields in the medical area and the gaming industries present today. Now, cognitive science is an interdisciplinary field, as Professor Tan Chye has just mentioned, and it draws on multiple disciplines, including neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and psychology, in order to study the brain and understand how it works. Today, there are many opportunities for students and researchers to explore opportunities in R&D in cognitive science and its application to fields as diverse as music, education, finance, health, and even in the gaming industry. Earlier on, I saw a number of posters on the different ways in which the cognitive science is being applied, and whether it's in music, in language acquisition, in early childhood learning, or in the gaming industry, or to help those who are born deaf to acquire the ability to speak. So all these are all very meaningful areas. So let me say a few words about its relevance for education. I think in education, cognitive science contributes to the basic understanding of how the brain develops and changes with experience and the neural mechanisms that are the basis of learning. In the last decade, cognitive science has yielded fascinating and important findings for learning and education. Through the field of CogSci, we know more today about how children learn and develop academic skills like reading, comprehension, and mathematics. And several excellent speakers will be sharing their insights on these topics later. Now, and as with many fields of study, CogSci benefits from deep research in a particular domain and the sharing of different perspectives across domains. And in turn, the multidisciplinary insights from CogSci can help our educators make more informed decisions on the appropriate types of educational interventions to support learning and development. So let me highlight a few examples. First, educationists are frequently trying out new methods of interventions, whether these are for the learning of languages, mathematics, or other subjects. Last year, a group of senior specialists in MOE started a 2-year longitudinal study to look into the impact of specialized remediation for children with dyslexia. At a behavioral level, the team observed that students differed in their responses in terms of the progress they show in their reading fluency and accuracy. Some students responded better, which may be due to social factors. For example, students with stronger parental support may end up showing better rates of progress, as these students tend to practice the skills learned at home, hence reinforcing the learning done in school. But they may also be within-child factors that could explain the individual differences. It has been observed that children with stronger phonological processing skills tend to show better rates of progress in the interventions. This observation is consistent with the findings of several researchers on the cognitive profiles of students with persistent literacy difficulties, i.e., they show marked weakness in phonological processing abilities. Studies have also suggested that other cognitive skills may affect the rate of progress shown by the students, such as working memory. When trying out and evaluating new pedagogies or teaching methods, teachers typically focus on evidence that shows students' improvements in specific curriculum skills, for example, in reading, writing, or numeracy. To complement the educationist efforts, it would be valuable if we can identify students' individual differences at the cognitive level. For example, what are the differences between students who responded well to conventional teaching and those who show persistent difficulties in terms of their memory, attention, or the way they process information? Could there be neural markers that distinguish children who respond well to specific teaching approaches from the non-responders? If we know with greater precision about the individual differences in learning, how can we then better customize our pedagogy and intervention? Are there specific cognitive processes that teachers can target for intervention? So understanding students' individual cognitive differences is a new frontier to better devise strategies for teaching and learning. If we can grasp the many dimensions that make our students unique and different, be it differences in experience, behavior, or cognition, it will enable us to better help individual students learn. A second example which I will cite concerns brain-computer interface, or BCI. BCI is an emerging technology which has been applied to many areas, including addressing the therapeutic needs of stroke patients to restore motor functions and to enhance their mental functioning. Recently, a multidisciplinary study involving Duke-NUS, Institute of Mental Health, and A-STAR investigated the efficacy of brain-computer interface training program to improve the attention of children diagnosed to have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. The study was conducted in collaboration with MOE's senior specialists and schools so as to ensure its applicability in the local context. The initial clinical trials have shown good promise for BCI as a treatment option for students with ADHD, and I understand that one of the researchers, Dr. Guan Chun Tai, will be sharing this at this conference. The other area is early childhood education. This is another area where we need to find more effective teaching and learning strategies. While educators agree on the importance of early intervention, they differ on when and how to provide effective early intervention. Cognitive science, and specifically educational neuroscience, can help us better understand the optimal ages for developing specific abilities in music, arts, sports, numeracy, and literacy. There is much we need to understand and learn about how young children can master 2 or more languages and what the best ways of facilitating bilingual fluency in young children are. And I was fascinated to see a poster outside earlier on the work done by Professor Liha Singh and the team on how children acquire and lose the ability to distinguish tone, and this is important for the learning of tonal languages like Mandarin. So to address all these important and intriguing questions in education, cognitive science research needs to have a clear translational component. Brain scientists cannot simply tell teachers